Welcome to 401 Nosh, the podcast. I'm at Nooney Companies' Spielbusch room. Is that what we're calling it, Jim?
Sounds good to me.
That's good. Steve Remy called it that in a previous podcast, and I love this room. It's a wine tasting room down here at Nooney Companies in the basement. Mm-hmm. A very historic building. What do you know about this area on the corner of Spielbusch and Cherry?
That's a great question. I know that Capital Tire was here 90 years, and they were fantastic to work with as they moved out and we moved in. And there was a lot of history and knowledge in a couple of the people that worked there that I was only able to tap into briefly. But before that, it was a hotel. It was a meat market, like literally meat. There's still meat hooks down here.
Really?
Yeah, down in the other rooms, and I think one back there even. And I know there used to be some cars, some electric, cable cars that used to stop on this corner. And that's about it. But it was quite the spot, I think, back in the day, from what I understood, and not necessarily in a good way, but maybe in a fun way.
Yeah, in a fun way. That is a good way. How long have you been in this building? Because this is relatively new, right?
Yeah, pretty new for us, although we're on our third year this month.
Yeah. So if you're upstairs, it's a warehouse because you distribute, we have Smackers chips on the table here. We also have wine, which we'll probably get into as we go along. So you distribute chips, wine. What else do we do? Cigars, the cigar room?
Premium cigars, mass market cigars. We have 3,000 plus items, and
we won't go through them all.
A lot of tobacco items. We do from tobacco to office supplies. So anything that we carry here, we just go ahead and put in our portfolio so we can order it for ourselves. And then, of course, clients see it and they order as well. And a lot of restaurant supplies. We do our own line of snacks wherever we can. We try to add to that. Auto supplies, firewood.
Wow.
Anything. We have a kind of 7 principles that we decide before we bring something in. I won't go through them because I'll forget one. But
sure.
But when you see another distributor and they maybe are in a particular line of work and they just say, well, if it's not this, we don't carry it. We're kind of the opposite. If it fits in our 7 kind of key characteristics, we'll bring it in. So
you have them in areas around places in Toledo, but also across the state, other states, countries too.
Which, just the chips or all the products?
All of it, yeah.
Well, we predominantly distribute in Ohio, and then we distribute in Michigan and Indiana.
Gotcha.
We don't turn customers away if it's something that we can accommodate them with. I mean, chips are hard to ship. Some of the beverages are very hard to ship. But premium cigars are easy to ship, and we do that in Florida. We have a lot of accounts in Florida that we've done for many years. And so if the opportunity presents itself, we'll tell them yes or no based on when they come in. But Ohio always, northern Indiana and Michigan will always take care of them. And then some of the other side of the business, we do international work, but it's not really related to our day-to-day distribution.
What about when it comes to the wine and something like Champagne Jeeper? How does that come about?
Well, I tend to like to distribute things that I enjoy.
Okay.
And so that was one of the reasons. I think alcohol goes with tobacco, and we do a lot of tobacco. They both have, for other reasons than drinking and smoking, they all have high regulations and similar purchasing patterns. The alcohol is a very fragmented industry, so it's unlike a lot of other industries where you go, say, beer, for instance, is a different. I should say the wine is fragmented. Beer is now you've got a lot of craft breweries, but most of them are owned by the big guys. And in wine, you can find 200-300-year-old vineyards that don't sell their product in the United States, and there are many of them. So it's really exciting to discover new wines and then bring them here and then get people to try them and enjoy them and expand their palate as I do.
Yeah. And they can try those, with restaurants that you collaborate with, but also here in the Spielbusch room.
Yeah, that was really the reason. The impetus behind this is when we bought this, it was all tires down here. No, this was all
just
tires,
stacked high
everywhere, and nobody wanted to come down here. It was tires and spiders probably.
Yeah,
and I just saw the character of the walls and the ceiling and the natural aged thing that you can't buy, you can't recreate, and those are the things I think that people try to recreate when they make an atmosphere and experience. And we had a couple trips over the last few years to Napa, and we carry so much wine, and Napa always has a nice cellar that people go through. And I said, well, you go to Napa, you have the great experience of the weather and the view and the wine. But when you go to a particular place in Napa, A, you have to fly there, B, you have to book it, and C, you can only have the wine that really their terroir can create. So you're sort of stuck with whatever they have on their wine menu, which is very limited. And so here I thought, hey, we can kind of bring the Napa experience to Toledo, whether it's for our restaurants as they taste the wines, or for our special guests, or for people before they go to dinner or after they come back from dinner. And we're not limited to a wine of the terroir. We can basically steer them in any direction that they want to go with the wines that we have.
Yeah.
And it really fulfills our mission, which I think is to bring great products to the people of Toledo and help them to experience great things that otherwise, might be difficult to get your hands on around here.
I came down here one day to chat with Steve, actually, and you were behind the bar. You're like working.
Sure.
You ever do that? You get down here.
I'll do whatever.
Is this a rarity?
No. I'll drive. I'll deliver. I'll work in the warehouse. I'll sell. I'll whatever it takes. I mean, how it is. I mean, you got to get the stuff from A to B, and you got to bring it in, and you got to experience it. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Is that the most rewarding part of your job, or what is the most rewarding part of what you do?
I think the people are definitely the most rewarding. Yeah. I think that, we hire a lot of people, and we'll bring in interns, we'll bring in seasoned veterans, and we'll, I think the eclectic mix of people and having them work together and all hopefully sharing what we're trying to do. And but I think more than anything, young people and the people that, maybe have an education, maybe don't, maybe have a solid family structure, support structure, maybe don't. And, just not giving up on them and having them come in and be a part of something when they can. It's not easy, but that's the most rewarding part for sure.
So this is a food show. What are some of your favorite maybe food memories or places now that you love to visit? They can be a partner, and that's okay with Nooney's. But if not, maybe a guilty pleasure or something like that, places you like to visit in the Toledo area.
My mother-in-law's kitchen there right by you. I don't go very often, but she's
my neighbor.
And
that's right.
And my wife is a chip off the old block. I love it when she makes some really dynamite stuff. Outside of that, we really enjoy Hannon's Block. Is a great restaurant.
Isn't it great? Mike's awesome.
It's not just burgers. It's got a lot of great stuff there. Mancy's, I have a standing rule that whenever I'm passing Mancy's between 12 and 1, I have to stop for lunch. It's not very often, but sometimes could be 3-4 days in a row. So it's like, I'm going to go right by there.
All right.
So Mancy's really all their portfolio of restaurants is great. Souk, I think Moose is doing amazing stuff. Always. And Plat 8 is a fun spot for us. I live in Ottawa Hills, so it's neat to have a neighborhood spot there. Isn't
that a great spot? Because it's kind of tucked away there. We did a little thing with them during restaurant week, but it's great vibes
I think we need more tucked away spots. And
agreed.
This
is one of them.
Yeah, if anybody knows them, they're a little secret. But if anybody knows them, I'm sure there's a lot of places that I have not been to or seen.
Do you have a specific, I'm really throwing you on the spot, because someone did this to me this weekend. People ask me all the time, they're like, what's your favorite spot in Toledo? I'm like, well, let's narrow it down to like specific, types of foods, and then I can help with that, because I've been to so many places, and usually it's wherever I went last, I'll bring up. But I had someone ask me like, what's your favorite appetizer in Toledo? I was like, ooh, that's a good question, because I don't, unless I'm out with people, I don't always get an appetizer, if I'm by myself. I don't usually get it. And B, I'm like, oh man, I just don't really think, I know I've had good ones, but I'm going to throw you on the spot. Do you have a favorite appetizer?
I don't know if it's an appetizer, and this is one of my favorite places to go is Beirut. And, I mean, I love their appetizer. It's probably not an appetizer, but like the fattoush and the hummus, I mean, you just go there and you're immediately just getting after that, and it comes out quick, and it's fresh, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that loungy atmosphere they have. I hope they never change it. And it used to be everywhere, and now it's nowhere. And if I can get like a little highball with a rum and Coke in it, and can get after that in the winter, that's like, I love it.
It's really cool. I'm kind of along those lines too, because Souk has this short rib hummus that I like a lot. They have a variety on their menu for like appetizers. I mean, I guess hummus isn't it's like a group like shareable, but that's one that's like on my list.
Yeah, they do some
well.
neat things with a twist on that.
I love what they're doing down there, and they always have special events. So many places around here have like good chefs tables and things like that. Anytime that you can get creative and bring in groups of people, because we have our best conversations over food and drink. Maybe not a lot of drinks, but definitely a lot of food. We have good conversations.
Oh, good. Yeah, and I love what they're doing in Perrysburg. Benchmark and Claude's and that whole group. It's just, I mean, Claude's in particular, you go in there, and I think Benchmark, the start of the theme where you're really in a unique restaurant, but sort of a big city experience. Like when I go down to Miami, I feel that way when I'm in there. And
You're talking Miami, Florida?
Miami, Florida.
Yeah. Not the Miami Hoy University. I don't know what you do in your spare time.
Yeah, so I used to live in
relive
Miami.
Your college days.
I used to live there for 15 years. So
really, okay.
Yeah, and so those restaurants are right up there with any of them that you'd eat there in terms of the food and the atmosphere and the service. So it's really amazing.
Well, and there is such a good, culture of a big city like that down there, or if you go to Chicago or even Detroit. And I think we do have a really good variety around here as well. A lot of good holes in the wall, too, which I like as well.
I hope we get more of them.
Yeah, they could be out there and we don't know they exist. I didn't know this existed. And not that this is a hole in the wall, but it's hidden away. It's literally a hole. It's literally a hole in this basement down here. But it's great vibes down here. It's an awesome atmosphere. This is a cool spot. So you have the cigar room. You have this. People can rent this space out, come down here. I think this would be like great, maybe even for like a rehearsal, I don't know, dinner, but, people come out here on a weekend and with a group of friends and celebrate something. But the cigar room as well, because we talked about like this is a warehouse, but people can come in here and you have the cigar room where they can get stuff.
We're on the busiest intersection in downtown Toledo. And not only is it the busiest intersection, but we don't really compete for anything. There's really nothing else here. So if we can create a little bit of presence and give people some experience and maybe anchor down this side of Toledo with a little action, a little activity. Our folks do an awesome job. Steve and Zev and the rest of the team of really opening up people's eyes and palates to some great products. But of course, ultimately, we're a wholesaler, so those are active working areas, and I think that adds to the fun too.
I do too. So it's almost like you're at Disney World and you're watching people do things.
Yeah, sometimes you're down here having a wine and their pallets going back and forth and the elevators going up and down.
Are those real people or actors out there or robots? They're really moving that forklift.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheers to you. Thank you for welcoming us into the Spielbusch room, the wine room. Man, that sounds so good down here at the acoustics.